Hey,
All right.
we made it. We made it. We changed things around.
Literally just made
Literally just made it. We're literally plugging in.
Yeah.
But welcome to Bacon is My Podcast, where today we talk about stories about when we went to go see opening acts,
Yeah.
and they end up becoming some of our favorite bands, and we have a run-in today.
We are going to have a run-in. Which is
So everybody, hold on to your hats. Here comes Bacon is My Podcast.
Yeah.
Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon! Bacon is my... Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my... Here we are.
All right. Welcome to Discussions and Drinks.
Yeah.
Bacon is my podcast. Jimmy G and Mike edition, or Mike and Jimmy G edition. I'll give you top billing, my friend.
I see. You know what's funny? Like in the emails,
Yeah.
I usually give you top billing, and I'm the usually the one who speaks in emails.
Right.
And
I see
everybody
emails.
everybody goes Jim.
Right.
And I'm like,
I see that in emails. I see these. I'm like, oh man.
I eventually did say like, hey, just a heads up, if you're usually speaking to Mike.
Yeah. Y'all better recognize
Yeah.
on the unsung hero of Bacon is My Podcast. What are we drinking today for?
I don't know. Do
drinks
we
and
want to do
discussions.
the Bushmills Black we finished off from last week, or we do have this new one? It's Shanky's Whip.
Shanky's Whip.
There's an ostrich and a guy whipping it on a.
Sounds
This is
somewhat terrifying.
for those looking on Strangerhood TV. This is something.
I say the first thing we do is we finish off the Bushmills Black Bush. Maybe even since this is drinks and discussions, when we do this, we can put what we're drinking up front
Sure.
at the time, so that
Sure.
it's then part of the show.
So we're
Maybe
gonna
that's how
start
we
with
can.
that.
Yeah, we'll finish it off.
Okay.
And then maybe we can swindle some company into sponsoring and giving it to us for free.
I've been trying to reach out. If anybody knows any new, young, up and coming spirits companies,
Right.
hit us up. Let us know. Let them know about us.
Yeah, and maybe
That'll look better.
maybe with us displaying it, that'll be a thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
More attractive.
So we're gonna
proposal.
go back with Bushmills Black, which I don't remember where we were at on the Bushmills Black. I think we were
The
with
original Bushmills was
Leah.
not the best. We had Leah on when we were doing the
were doing the
Bushmills
black.
before, and we started the black about halfway, for that episode, and we had decided that it was decent, but it was sweeter than I remember.
yeah.
Yeah.
It does taste a little bit sweet.
Cheers. Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
got a little bit of a sweetness to it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Not quite as much as I remember last time, but probably because we went straight from the original
We went from-
to that.
Yeah. Well, no, that was wasn't that the 12-year or something?
No, we had the regular. It was the white label regular Bushmills.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we got the 3-pack.
Right. And then there's
for
the red.
Christmas 2 years ago.
And it's been sitting here since.
It's been sitting here aging since then.
Yeah.
And so we finally cracked it. We still have the red.
Indeed.
The red is what's left.
Indeed. Before we get too much into it, don't forget to go to baconismypodcast.com to check out all of our sponsors: Drink Wild Bills, Grill Your Ass Off, Mythical Beards, Pod Decks, and of course Manscaped. They got a new Weed Whacker. It's heading our way.
Oh, nice.
So the Weed Whacker 2.0 is now going to be in all of the new packs and
that's
stuff.
exciting.
I love my Weed Whacker.
Yeah. I'm a fan.
It prevents the Jen's my booger monitor.
Right.
I tend to have boogers sometimes.
That sounds hot.
Yeah. Well, we love each other. That's what
yeah,
you do.
that's part
love.
of it.
So yeah, she's my boogie monitor, and what she does is she's like, hey, listen, you get exponentially less when you use Weed Whacker.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. I was always one of those masochists that would just if you had a straight nose hair,
no,
you just kind of grab it.
Oh my
and
god!
Just my eyes are gonna water.
I know
and you
that.
just rip it out.
I know that the feeling and the tears.
Yeah.
My eyes are tearing
Yeah,
because
your
of the
eyes
feeling.
water like you just got hit in the face.
Exactly.
Like I've taken a punch to the nose, and that
It's similar to that.
It's similar
but it's,
feeling to that.
But it's literally like a thwink.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awful.
It's pretty awful. But if you want to pull out your nose hairs, or shave your beard, or make sure that those bean bags are nice and tight and hairless. Everybody likes a hairless bean bag. You can check them out, Manscaped. 20% off with the promo code
Bacon Pod.
You also get free shipping, so definitely check that out.
So I proposed this subject to you, and you were like, so all bands, because all bands were openers. And I was like, no, it's like specific stories and stuff like that.
Well, it's a fun topic because it's something that I never really thought about until you brought it up a lot. You know, because you've said a lot. We've always kind of said, you and I both, and everybody that knows, like, yeah, go support the opener bands because often we're the opener bands. But support the opener bands because you never know who they are, what they got going on. And a lot of times you'll find something that's amazing. But you have brought it up and had the conversation so many times with specific bands that really just kind of like knocked you out when you went and saw them.
Yes.
I haven't been to as many concerts in the past, and this is going to sound weird, but literally in the past like 10 years. I haven't been to as many shows. I've played a lot of shows.
Right.
And so I have more of a mindset of, in that realm, of like bands that I've played with that have completely been like, I am following this band. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where I ended up. My brain kind of took it.
Yeah.
After that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So something that I kind of got into it, and like this wasn't always the way, but overall, like when I was younger, you know, you'd get bills like Foo Fighters, Chili Peppers, Muse, and it's like, and Muse was like the opening act.
Right.
I saw Muse open for the Foo Fighters and Chili Peppers. It was fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
You know, so like there's pretty cool tour packages like that, but that was back in 2001. Like,
yeah, now it's like festivals. Everything's festivals, or it's the bands that are touring are like either they're almost on the same level, or it's like one band was at a higher level and they've dropped status a little bit, and another band's coming up.
Yeah.
But you know about both of them, and then there's some band that's just not even advertised.
Right. Sometimes. Yeah. I tend to so that happened at around then. I do think that I kind of fell off a little bit. You know, high school, or like just post high school, you're going to, like, my big thing was going to Jones Beach. We're right up the road, Jones Beach Theater, and you know, so we'd go to a lot of the shows there, and you know, we'd get there at a certain time, and we'd be drinking in the parking lot until the bands we wanted to see went on. I have, you know, we talked about it on the show before. I have anxiety, and my big anxiety is like getting to places when I need to get there and stuff like that. It really bothers me somehow. It's really awful.
Right.
But
you are like, whenever I'm in the car with you and we're going somewhere, you don't come off at all like you have anxiety, but you're very focused.
Yes.
Like you're very like.
Well, yeah, I don't want to suck anybody else into that.
Well, no, you do.
Like,
you do a great job of not being like, I'm watching the clock with my periph right now.
Yeah, right.
And all that kind of stuff. And I know how that gets because I get that way about being places like on time and stuff, and I start to worry about that shit too.
I'm terrible like for getting to the airport and stuff. I've gotten a little bit more lax, but on the overall, like getting to the airport, we've got TSA pre. Do we need to be at the airport and sitting at our gate 2 hours before the flight? No.
But I love that about you because I'm like that, and so it helps.
Oh, okay.
It helps when your travel buddy is the same. Because if you were like, whatever, we got 40 minutes, we'll get there, I'd be like, really? That's how you want to do this?
No, right. Yeah, you're right. You're
All
right,
man.
So yeah, that's always been like my thing. So once I started going to shows like in the city, or if I would go to a show in Jersey, Starland, shout out Starland, whoop whoop.
Yeah.
Not a sponsor, could be.
Could be.
That's when it got to me where it was like, okay, well, I want to get there for doors, and it wasn't really like a conscious thing where I was thinking about I need to be there because of this. It was because of my anxiety. I can recognize that now.
Right.
But because of that, I in turn saw some awesome bands, because you could hang out in the parking lot, or if you drove there, you're like, let's fucking go inside and watch bands and do stuff. So yeah, I've seen some really, really awesome bands that I, like, you never know what you're going to see. Muse in 2001.
Yeah.
Case in point. I saw Flyleaf open they were the very, very first opening act before Breaking Benjamin, and like a slew of other bands. And there was like 4 or 5 bands on the bill. Breaking Benjamin, I remember, and I remember Flyleaf. And Flyleaf has become huge, you know? So yeah, like I keep saying it, but like, go see the opening acts. Go see the other bands on the bill, because, or now we live in an age where we have Spotify, right? So Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, I was going to go see them in Philly. And I said, well, we're trekking all the way to Philly. Might as well see who else is on that bill.
Right.
You just hop right on Spotify, figure out what bands you actually want to see and which ones you don't.
And that's how you found Rivals, right?
That's how I found Rivals.
Which is awesome, because you pointed me in the direction of Rivals, who I hadn't seen. Mm-hmm. And, like, they're not a small band right now, but they're not a big band right now either. Right. Like in the grand scheme of things, they're on the smallish side of the bigger level. So really, on any of those shows, they would probably still be an opener.
Yeah. And
I got the benefit of hearing about them and checking them out because you told me about them. And even just that, like, if you're not the one that sees the band, if one of your friends sees the band, like, you pass it along.
Right.
And I love Rivals, and that's one of the bands that you gave me a handoff with, where I was just like, yes, these guys are amazing.
The homies in Rivals. Yeah. So, yeah, I actually, another band that I discovered that way, I went to go see, it was Killswitch Engage, Dillinger Escape Plan, and Every Time I Die. And opening that bill, and Jen and I think we got something to eat. It was like a later departure time, which made us have to travel later, and how getting out of fucking New York is.
Right.
So we got into the venue, and there was this really fucking good metal band playing, and everybody knew the words. And I was like, man, these guys must be locals, because I don't see their name on any of the bills or anything like that. It was so I went up to one of the guys, and I was like, yo, these guys are fucking sick. Are these like a local band or something? He's like, no, they're from Australia. And that band was Parkway Drive.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They were, I guess, their second record and that's how I discovered Parkway Drive, like fucking forever ago. Like, Jen and I just started going to concerts together and stuff like that, and we weren't married or anything. And we went, and yeah, that's how I've discovered some of the best bands. And it's really cool, because now you look at Parkway Drive and they're headlining all these crazy festivals that you're talking about.
So yeah, I also think that sometimes the band that you see doesn't get bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And therefore, if you hadn't have seen them, you probably never would. So there's a bunch of bands that I discovered back when I first moved to New York, and I was creating a band.
Yeah.
Right? Because we would just be at every rock show possible.
Yeah.
Hand out CDs, hand out flyers.
Those days are
stand
gone
in the line,
now, but...
put headphones on people, all that kind of stuff, which
Yeah.
I used to love doing. But we would get into shows specifically to do that. So I used to go see shows a lot at like WWE New York.
Yeah.
When that was there.
Or the World, right?
The World, yeah, is what it was called. And or I used to go to shows at a lot of like smaller venues, and I got to see bands like Anberlin.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
Right? I saw Anberlin before I ever heard of them. And it was before the album with Feel Good Drag came out. Mm-hmm. And then I started kind of, after I saw them and I started listening to them, then I started like hearing their music once in a while on things, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's that band!"
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And then I saw like Story of the Year before I really knew who they were. Like I knew the name and I had heard like one or two songs, but I didn't really know the band. And my first experience with them was them live, opening up a show.
Yeah.
I don't remember who they were playing with. It might have been like Aiden or something like that. Because any rock show I would go, whether I knew the band or not, and then also my girlfriend at the time loved all those bands and would go to everything.
Was it Thrice?
I knew who Thrice was. Like
Okay.
I loved Thrice the first time I heard them, and
Yeah.
so that was like they were one of those bands that I went to see on purpose.
Right. Okay.
It wasn't like hey, there's a rock show. Like I would go to shows. We would go without even looking to see who was playing. We would go look at the line of a place and see if people were dressed like they would hang out with us,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and then we would go to the show.
Okay.
And so I got to see. I randomly saw like Switchfoot live.
Okay.
At a show like that, and I knew who they were. I just
Right.
didn't happen to know that they were playing. And we went to the show, and I was like, "Holy shit!" That's Story of the Year was with Switchfoot.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
That's an
Crazy
interesting
gig.
fucking bill.
Crazy gig, right? And they were opening for Switchfoot.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was after Switchfoot was no longer, it wasn't like when they were in the heyday of Switchfoot. It was
Which was the one song.
yeah, it was like a couple years after that.
Yeah.
And so, people were still waiting for that song, but I watched them and I was like, so that's a band that I didn't know much about other than one song, and happened to be at a show and saw all their songs and went, these guys are amazing live.
Yeah.
And I dove into their entire catalog and have been a fan ever since.
Yeah.
Same with Story of the Year. Same with Anberlin. Those are definitely bands that I probably wouldn't have had as much experience listening to had it not been for that, because I didn't really have any friends that were pushing me their music either.
Right.
So it was like and there were so many bands out at that time. Mm-hmm. Back in the aughts, the mid aughts, right? I think that would probably be what that is, like the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Like mid to late 2000s. There were a lot of good rock bands out.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was like another renaissance of it was the emo scene and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was the Thrices, the Story of the Years,
the used, My Chemical Romance.
Yeah. Now, the Used, and you talked about seeing a band that you love, and they didn't really blow up the way you thought they would blow up. But the Used, when I went to go see them, they actually introduced me to Marmozets.
Oh, cool.
And that's how I brought Marmozets. Like, I saw them live. Becca, the singer, is just insane.
Right.
Insanely good. But yeah, as soon as I saw them, I was like, DJ, you gotta play these guys on your fucking show, because they are fucking great.
DJ of the band Revel 9, also of the Top 20, which you can listen to on Strangerhood TV.
Yes.
Which is our parent network.
Watch
as
every
well.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Every Thursday.
He plays a lot of new music.
Yeah.
And there was a long time where that's how I discovered bands.
Mm-hmm.
Not DJ's show, but I discovered them by listening to them first, because there used to be such a thing as record stores. And in those record stores, there used to be such a thing as listening stations. And then these listening stations would be where a band's first record would be. And
a couple of cans and just...
you'd be able to just walk up and listen to songs from a record. That's how I discovered the used. At Virgin Records in Times Square.
Yeah.
It was like... Yeah, it must have been right before they closed, because
Sam
they
Goody.
closed not too long after like that. The used and MCR blew up. It was like Virgin closed maybe a few years after that.
Yeah, I do remember Virgin was... they had a lot of in-store record releases.
They almost became a clothing store for a while to try and
Yeah, I do
figure it
remember
out.
that.
Movies
I do
and
remember
clothing
that.
and stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, dude, you got Sam Goody, Tower. Tower was great. There was one here in Long Island on Sunrise Highway.
Right.
And open 24/7. And I remember going there on Christmas Day because I got money. I remember getting money and me just being like, I just want to. I'm done with the family stuff and I can go out. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to. And people were all busy, obviously.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to Tower Records because it's the only thing that's open.
Had you known me then, I would have gone with you.
Right.
Because I had nothing to do on Thanksgiving.
No, I'm sorry, Christmas.
Christmas. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I bought Artist in the Ambulance that day.
Okay. Nice. Nice. So you bought it the minute you heard it.
I had heard it a while before.
Okay.
That summer, but I just never. I don't know why I didn't just buy it. But
that first used record, I remember, I listened. I put headphones on and I listened to like the first maybe 10 seconds of like 3 songs, and I just grabbed it and walked up and bought it because I was like, and that record like changed my life too.
Yeah.
Like I loved that. Was in my collection of, and we can make a show about that at some point, like the records that changed us. Which are not, they're not always the classic albums. It's not going to be, for me at least, that's not your top 20 albums of all time. The top 20 albums of all time didn't change my life.
Right.
There's a handful of very specific things.
I think specifying top 20 albums of all time is like, okay, well, how do you quantify that?
Well, right. There's a lot that goes into that.
And what all that goes into that when you're talking on a huge scale is sales.
Right.
Sales, singles.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
My
like
list of
success
that is very different from the records that changed me as a human and as a musician and as a writer and as a human.
Right.
And the used, that first record was one of those.
Yep. Artist in the Ambulance for me.
Artist in the Ambulance is another one for me too. That didn't hit me the same way. That was just something I was a huge fan of.
That record just changed my trajectory because I was very into like the hard rock, the post metal, I guess you would call it, that kind of stuff, and that kind of set me on that course of like rock punk.
Okay.
Emo kind of stuff, and immediately after that was like Story of the Year, and it sent me on that route.
It's funny because if you look at like what I listened to growing up, and then the bands that I started kind of forming and being in, it was kind of very much in a direction where all my friends and me and everything were like, if you drew a straight line, it would have gone a different way.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have. There are certain artists, and most of them were because I listened to them on headphones at some record store. When I was a kid, I ran into the first record from the band Fuel.
Okay,
Sunburn, and that I remember putting headphones on with that, and that was like I loved everything about it because it was super raw and it was super hooky. I bought Candlebox the same way. That one, my friend Brian told me I had to listen to Candlebox. And and again, I guess we're kind of getting off topic of like bands we see, but it's like new bands that aren't big that for whatever reason, like I discovered them either at a show or a friend, gave me a record.
I'm gonna say this. That's where this Sunday post where we go, hey guys, this is something we're talking about this week. Right. if it veers off, I'm happy for it to veer off.
Oh yeah,
It's fine. That's fine. So,
but yeah, so that was my main way of discovering bands. I also couldn't afford to go to shows for a really long time.
yeah.
Even when I moved to New York, I couldn't afford to do anything for a really long time. So really, it was like I going to Virgin. I worked at Planet Hollywood, and I would literally
right down,
walk next
down
door,
the block, yeah.
and I would put on headphones for every single listening station they had.
That's fucking cool.
Just to hear what was going on, and I remember being blown away by like Joss Stone.
Oh,
When that record came out.
Yeah.
That one stuck with me where I was just like, oh, and I bought it immediately. And I remember like stuff like that I used to love just running into and being like, oh shit, this is great.
Yeah.
That's how I discovered a lot of music when I couldn't afford to go to shows.
Sure.
When I formed Sick as Monday, going to shows was part of our job. So
Right.
it was like I set money aside specifically to go to shows.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into the habit of seeing these bands when I would go to shows. Because concerts were like a luxury that I couldn't do.
Yeah.
I mean, when I moved here, it was living in an event. All that stuff is real, and so I didn't get to go to as many things, but always appreciating like. And then there's local shows that I was on.
Sure.
I discovered bands like A Farewell Fire, who I am a legit fan of. Like I am in the audience, pogoing and singing every lyric, like a total fan.
I've seen it.
Yeah,
He's not lying.
and it's because I'm a total fan. Like their music hit me in a certain way, and I just love it.
Yeah.
Like it's just one of those things. Seeing bands and playing with bands like that too was a super cool thing for me to be able to get the opportunity to do.
Right.
And like meeting bands on the road and stuff like that too was a big
I used to love. It's a love-hate thing because you do play with a lot of not good bands too.
True. Yeah.
But yeah, you do discover some really awesome diamonds in the rough when you're playing local shows and things like that. I'm trying to think of. I mean, there was a band that I had played with, and then ended up like kind of bumping into again at like Taste of Chaos because they were on the bill, called the Smash Up.
Yes.
Yeah,
I remember the Smash Up.
they were from New York City.
I might have played a show with them. Like Sick as Monday might have played a show with the Smash Up.
I had played a number of shows with them at downtown, but they were a New York City based band. They
were great. I
They
forgot
were really
about them.
cool guys, and it was funny too because at Taste of Chaos, they were so how do you describe them? They were they kind of like Goo Goo Dolls, but before they went commercial,
a little
but
more
like
punky.
punkier.
Yeah, a little more punky, like the Goo Goo Dolls songs that the bass player sings.
Right. I'm talking like super
Right?
early Goo Goo
Yeah,
Dolls.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. They were kind of like that, but a little bit like grungier and punkier.
Right.
But yeah, those guys
man,
were.
the Smash Up.
Yeah, above
Son of a
us.
bitch.
I'm gonna say above us. There's probably a CD, at least one or two CDs of the Smash Up in a bin upstairs.
I guarantee I have one somewhere at home, and there's also a Smash Up sticker on my old ass guitar case that's in my mom's house.
I have an old, ugly, tattered Smash Up T-shirt from. It has to be from like 2003. Somewhere in my my plethora of shirts that Jen keeps telling me I got to get rid of.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
It looks like we have a special guest here.
Yeah, you guys know if you've been watching the show or listening to the show for a long time, that's
It's the year one dude.
Every time that we have guests that we really enjoy, we invite them to come back whenever they want. And we have a guest that wanted to come back, and so we said, hell yeah.
What's up, dude?
What's up, boys?
How are you, man?
Good. How are you guys?
We're doing
Good.
man.
So
I dig that hair.
what's up?
Oh,
I dig your hair.
Yours too, man.
you.
We both had short hair the last time we
Yeah, we did.
talked.
We've been through a lot.
We've been. It
Well,
shows.
yeah, we got out of COVID.
This is how we can see that time has passed.
So for anybody who doesn't know, last week, Kade and his band Throw the Fight released a new song called Cover Your Tracks, and it's fucking dope.
It is dope, man.
It's
really,
fucking
really cool.
awesome, dude.
Yeah, I'm stoked you guys dig it. That's awesome. I was curious.
Oh,
to
absolutely.
See, your input. Yeah, we're stoked on this one. It'd been a long time coming for this one, and yeah, we went heavy. We went deep.
Yeah.
Dude, I love the vibe of it. Like,
Thank you.
It was like, it sounds like you guys, but it was, I don't know. There was a little something to it that was just like, oh, all right. I got punched in the face a little bit.
Yeah, it's the whole collection that will soon be released is definitely got it's us, but
Right.
there is just something to it. It's just like elevated a little bit, and this one, like right out of the gate, was probably the first song that I was presented from Chris, and then quickly wrote the first one we recorded, and funny enough, the first one we've put out. So
Nice.
it's kind of cool that through this whole journey and the whole cycle, this was been like, hey, this one, everyone has to hear this one first, and like it's not even one of our favorites, but it was like this one is different.
That's
Well,
awesome.
it's cool when you have that. It's like that. And I've experienced it too, where you write something and it's like okay,
This
we're
has to
putting
go
out a
out.
record, and this is the statement of the record,
Right.
You know, like, or this is kind of our, okay, this is the door we're opening right now, so this is how we want to be presented.
Yeah, it's something, we went usually where it's like drop B tuning, right?
Right.
And Chris started experimenting with like drop A and A sharp, and just kind of went nuts, and it just brought everything to a different like dynamic for us, and even for me as a singer, but it's more comfortable, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of new for us, and a new process and everything. So we're really excited that everyone kind of gets to hear this new stuff for sure, because it's just done completely different than anything we've ever done.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome. Well, I was all excited because a few months back you were like, "Hey guys, we've got a tour announcement coming up." I'm like, "Dude,
I know.
if you don't say you're coming to the New York area, I'm gonna be pissed." And then he goes, "We're going to Europe." What?
Which is like, you
Yeah.
can't be pissed because you're like, oh hell yeah.
Okay, well at least
Awesome, because you guys are gonna kill in
Yeah.
Europe. That's gonna be great.
It's wild. It's very, very blessed to have this opportunity. It's been a long time coming. We've actually been asked to go over there for multiple years, and it just makes sense for us because our listening group is overseas. It's unbelievable. Like when you look at your Spotify numbers and whoever's listening to your stuff, it's over there. And even with Cover Your Tracks, it's charting and doing really well in Germany, and we're just like, what? Okay.
Hell yeah, man.
That's awesome, dude. That's
It's
awesome.
wild.
They love music there.
Yeah.
They do.
Good
They
music.
appreciate it in a different way.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's not a music's not a commodity used to sell something else there.
No.
It's its own thing, you know.
Yes. It's digested, I think, a little bit differently than what we get when it's just consistent all the time. Hard to catch up.
So we're here today. This is our typically our drinks and discussions
I
show,
gotta
which
finish
has
this.
been just Mike and I having a conversation about something. I don't know if you have a beverage with you of some kind.
Yeah, I have some tea, and partook in the California, so I'm good. Yeah.
Nice.
Excellent, perfect. We need to start our second beverage here.
yeah.
But so our topic today that we were kind of talking about was bands that you happen to see, like opening bands or lesser known bands. It's kind of veered over to like I talked about discovering bands by when record stores used to exist and they had their listening stations, so you could go
Yes.
pop on headphones and listen to stuff. And we were talking about bands that we both kind of like heard that were either under the radar or just not heard of yet, that just knocked us out and became either the bands became these
Huge.
household names,
Right.
or even if they didn't, they're bands that like lasted with you and you're kind of still listening to them and stuff.
Yeah, they're a timepiece for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So who do you have on your list of things that you kind of like when you saw them maybe you didn't specifically go to see them or go to check them out, and they just kind of blew you away.
Right. Yeah. So I try to consume as much music as I possibly can. So I'm always trying to find and
I love the
discover
musical
something
music.
new.
That's my favorite part.
Just because, I don't know, for me, it inspires me as well. And I try to like find bands that there's not a million fans already and then watch them blow up. But I have a few of them. So one of them is The Used, which way back when they were, I think it was one of their first tours, they were opening up for Boxcar Racer. And
Oh shit!
Oh wow!
I was
okay.
obviously a huge Tom DeLonge fan, and then Travis Barker, obviously. And I had maybe heard Box of Sharp Objects maybe a week before, like maybe. But then to see them live and completely destroy, this was out in Washington State, and I was like, these guys are on a different level. This is something special. So that was one. And then to just, even to this day, they're icons, right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Let's see another one. Taking Back Sunday, kind of the same scenario. This was when I lived in Montana, and they were coming through my home state, which nobody ever toured Montana back then. It was like, they played in this like crazy barn, like I guess fairgrounds,
Right.
and it was them and Lawrence Arms, and Taking Back Sunday opened up for Lawrence Arms, and we were going to see Lawrence Arms, like we were huge punk rock fans and whatever, and to see these guys just, like nothing we'd ever seen before, flipping the mics and that whole like pre-emo stage. We were just like, oh my god, and then we were obsessed. Like I think we had Tell All Your Friends before it had been released to the market, but they had that album, and it changed our lives. It was unbelievable.
That's awesome. Like it's cool that you brought up The Used, because we literally were just talking about them.
Wild.
I discovered The Used in Virgin Records in Times Square. I used to work at the Planet Hollywood in Times Square, and I would just walk over. And I consumed music. I would hit every single listening station the whole time. And The Used was one of those bands that first record, I put the headphones on, and I was telling him I listened to a little bit of each song, and I immediately grabbed it and went and bought it, and then just went and listened to it. And it's one of the records that absolutely changed my life. Like, it changed me as a writer. It changed me as a musician. And like there have been kind of like landmark records throughout my life, and we were talking about like that being another episode that we can do of like the albums that like kind of changed you in certain ways. But they were definitely one for me that I wore that shit out. Like I listened to it over and over and over again. It was my, I'm on the subway and I'm listening to it. I'm at where, like anywhere I was, it was just on, and that was one of those records for me that just kind of like hit.
It was iconic. It was iconic.
Even to this day, like, I love that they keep changing their style.
Yeah, they're true artists. They're extremely talented musicians, artists.
And they don't always put out stuff that I love, but they always put out stuff that I'm going to listen to and I'm going to keep on. And it never fails to, like, on the first listen, I might not get it. On, like, the 5th, I start to get it a little more. On the 10th, I'm like, this might be my favorite song.
Really, and then at that point, you have like a different favorite song every 2 weeks.
Absolutely, that's crazy.
Favorite. They just creep up on you.
Yeah,
there was a really obscure song that they toured on the Canyon. I'm trying to think of what I want to say it was either I think it's Broken Windows.
Okay.
I guess they don't have that guitar player in the band anymore. They had like, this
Clint.
They had this like really messy breakup or whatever.
Right. Yeah, they did.
But they had
a couple guitar messy breakups.
Well, yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
But
bands are tough.
Yeah.
But
let's talk about the Clint one though.
Yeah, but yeah, this one was like I remember seeing it live, and I was like, man, this is fucking out there. This is not The Used. But once I got the record and I listened through it a few times, like you said, it wasn't something that I was like totally into to begin with. By the fifth or sixth time, I was like, okay, I get this now. I get this now.
Right.
But now they've kind of reined it back in to like that more punk emo.
Yeah, their new song they just
rock
released
stuff.
is very throwback. But it's awesome. I mean,
The title alone is straight up.
You won't say it for the kids.
People are vomit. That's it, right?
I
That one. Yep.
I think that they used as much success as they've had. I think that they're both underappreciated, and I really do think that they're like they're just I guess underappreciated would be the biggest thing I would say. I just think people tend to sleep on them because if you're not like a fan immediately, you're just, it's easy to kind of put them into some box of that was that era, the emo era, or whatever you want to call it, and I think that they're so far beyond any of that. They're like I think they're trend setting. I think they've managed to always kind of like be ahead of the curve on things.
Yeah, they're like the Deftones of emo.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
That's actually what I was going to say is similar to like because we discussed on the show that Chino could be. He's got his on days and off days. Depends on
he's a human, man.
How much he's consumed. But I think what actually turned me off to the used a while ago was I saw them like twice, I think, and Bert was just a mess, like a complete and utter mess. And at that point, I was kind of like, and I can't listen to this. I can't listen to it. But their newer stuff came out, and you can't deny the records. You can't deny the writing. And then I've seen them. I've seen them more recently. He's doing a lot better. And man, he's
when he's on,
so
he's on.
fucking good.
Yeah.
When he's on, he's like
personal habits aside, a true artist and an incredible talent is a fucking true artist and incredible talent.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it just it is what it is there. And sometimes people that have that ability to be so creative and be so open, they have other, everybody's got their shortcomings here and there.
It's a tough balance.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of that, really quick,
Yeah.
I've been avoiding drinking this because it smells like caramel.
What are you drinking? So this is something called Shanky's Whip. Found it at a local liquor store.
Yeah.
Shanky is apparently a man with a villainous mustache who rides an ostrich, and I will show you this.
Rides an ostrich, yeah, as one does.
That is, as he should.
And he's whipping said ostrich. We don't condone this behavior here at Bacon
Not at all.
Podcast.
No. You know that in reality, an ostrich will fuck you up.
Oh yeah.
And then they will try and sleep with you.
But it's
That's true.
yeah.
That's true. Look that shit
Like
up.
a crazy ex.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ostriches
so
are very rapey.
whiskey
It's really weird.
infused with vanilla spirits and natural flavors.
Yeah,
Natural flavors.
Natural flavors. That's a suspect word.
That's a wild guess.
But
It smells very nice.
It smells like
Caramel.
Yeah, it smells like one of those little square caramels that like you'd find in like
Oh,
a
like
grandma.
the Werther's?
The Werther's chocolate.
like in a
Werther's
grandma
caramels.
glass dish type thing.
Yeah, I would be drinking that with a straw then.
We might end up.
Oh, that's nice.
It's so thick.
Yeah, it's
Viscous?
viscousy.
Are you gonna use viscous? Yes.
Viscousy.
Yes.
You could put it on some ice cream, like vanilla ice cream.
Oh my god.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Oh man. So like
Wow, that's a sipper though. That's a.
So did you do the record store thing, Kate?
Yeah, man. Definitely. I mean, so I lived in a really small town in Montana, and about 20 minutes is Bozeman, Montana. So my dad and I, early on, we would take road trips, usually every weekend, and we would definitely go to a record store, and it's picking out cassette tapes. Now, I'm aging myself now.
Right.
Not the return of cassette tapes, the original.
The end of cassette tapes.
Right.
And then compact discs. But I mean, I remember rolling in, and you would just go based off of a cover, at times and
yeah.
a genre. And I remember finding like System of a Down that way, Blindside,
Oh, wow,
just
Nice.
Blindside.
Blindside, yeah.
cool, and like they changed my life, and I miss that. I miss it so much, where you can just roll into a place and discover whatever calls to you at that point.
Yeah.
We have everything at our fingertips, and I mean, there's still appreciation for it, and people have vinyl, and not every artist has access to that, but we will. And it's, I don't know, you're just holding something and you're digesting the whole thing. You're reading the lyrics and the artwork and the thank yous, and I nerded
totally
out over that stuff, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I still would if I had it. Like, I probably held on to compact discs longer than I should have.
I definitely did, yeah.
I was just like, no iPods, and by the time I did, I got the iPod Touch because it came out, so I had still passed all that first generation of stuff, and even my phone, I was just like, no. But now it's just stream. But I do get a lot of vinyl still, and try to collect it as much as possible, and it just hits different even when you receive it, and you're just the substance of all of it and the art, and it takes a lot goes into that stuff, and
it's tactile, man. You hold it and you're like, someone made this for real and it exists for real. When it's easy to bypass things or not give as much value or thought to things that are digital, because a lot of things are digital and you can swipe away from them.
Yeah. Right? I'm the same with books. I don't have a Kindle. I'm not going to read books or even audio. I mean, I could. I'd probably consume more books, but I read all the time. But it's just like holding that thing, and that's it. That's all you got, and you just take off. I mean, as you're listening to a vinyl, or back then, cassette, or even a disc or whatever, as you're listening to it, you're usually holding that object as well, and kind of skimming through it, even subconsciously too.
I used to love reading the lyrics along to what I was listening to. That was one of my favorite things. I would front. I don't front to back records hardly at all anymore.
I think it's hard to,
and I used to love to, because
people aren't putting out records, putting out singles.
Well, I would set aside time. I would sit in my room and open it up and press play and literally just read through as it went, and I would pay attention to intros and outros, and if there was anything in between the songs and all that kind of stuff would really kind of the whole listening to music thing was more of an experience. And I can see how it can and has become this kind of background music type thing, because that's how it's consumed in the easiest way now.
Yeah.
You don't have to there's not that get in your car and then go through all your discs, to pick one to put in.
Which I think I still have. I was just gonna say, I still have above the studio is a loft with a bunch of stuff. I've got 3 giant tubs of CDs still in there.
Oh yeah, man.
I still have all mine. I can't part.
It could be one of those things where we'll just get rid of them. It's I can't just get rid of them.
Right.
I have imports, and I have rare stuff. I was a huge Chili Peppers fan, so I've got the Japanese version of One Hot Minute that has this moving cover and alternate colors.
That's not online.
You can't get that.
Can't get that stuff. I mean, I even have and still have local bands or touring bands that we would be on the road with, and you still have their CD, and
we were talking
obviously they're done, but
too, when you
they were
on.
Such good bands, and you're just I still have your disc, and I mean, I'd still spin it. And this is before they're not getting on DistroKid or anything, unless you got one guy who's still sticking with it or something. But
definitely not that old record if they're still around. It's very rare that they're going to be let's pay to re-release all our old shit.
No way. No local band's going to do that.
Let's get a DistroKid account so we can put the record from 20 years ago that we spent $200 making in somebody's basement.
Right.
Yeah. And then all the kids will listen to it and compare it to what's out now.
Compared to what's out now,
they're going
right?
to turn it off immediately. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Exactly. Hey, did you, or either of you, did you guys have, because I was lucky enough when we were talking about record stores, I had one in my town in Indiana growing up. It's still there. It's called J&L Records. It's awesome. They have everything, and one of the things that they used to do, and they had a lot of imports and things like that, but what they would get is internally with labels, they would have these collection CDs to introduce the artists that they were going to be releasing,
like the samplers
and the radio samplers and things like
and
that,
pre-screeners,
and J&L would sell those. You could. They weren't supposed to, but you could go up to the counter and they'd have a couple of them. And I used to grab those, and that's like, I remember like hearing bands for the first time, like My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, like bands like that, where I would hear it and I'd be like, oh shit, this is cool. I want to figure out who this band is. And then I would like have to go find them because I would never hear them otherwise. Because they're not going to be on radio and they're not going to have anything else. I like the Crow movie and they're in that. So it's like that's where
back in the day you had to put in some work. I mean, you really had to find artists, and if you got into a certain band, then it's like, okay, who do they sound like? I mean, speaking of reading, the credits and stuff of vinyl or whatever, and they'd be like, hey, thank you, Anti-Flag, thank you, whatever, and you're like,
oh shit,
who is this? Like, I've never heard of Legwagon. What? You're like,
or a singer appears on the record from another band, and you're like, "That's that song."
Right,
so
before
listen to the
features
song
were features
100 times to try and place where the different singer is. And you'd be like, "What are they doing? Are they doing? Is that the guy?"
I used to love the credits just because I was getting into. I've always like had a Tascam and tried to record shit and stuff, but looking at the credits and seeing like producers and engineers and mixers and stuff like that, I couldn't tell you. Modern day, like Joey Sturgis, I know, but other than that, it's like I fucking know, except for the old guys that are still doing it,
right? You're like Mutt Lange still doing things, all right.
Yeah, but that was another thing that I loved doing is like, okay, this is, and bringing it back to the local shops. Yeah, we used to have. Well, I think it still exists, but it moved like several locations. The place was called Mr. Cheapo's. And
maybe you've said that before, but I've heard of it.
And they were selling records still like in the early 2000s and in the the late 90s and shit. And they were still selling records, and they do DVDs, and they do the import thing and all that stuff. And one of the things that I picked up from there was "We Are Not Alone" by Breaking Benjamin. The advanced copy. Nice. So it came out like months before the actual record came out. In fact, the actual artwork and stuff was just a photo, like a stock photo of them, and it was just like sent out from the record company to all these like record stores and stuff.
That's awesome.
And I just remember I had it like a few months before. I'm like, yes, I still have that up in that that loft too.
That's
that was like a cool little find that I got there.
That's cool. Yeah, very.
Well, I mean, even like the work that labels and AR people had to do back in the day, get it into the hands of all those little shops, whether it was a chain store or mom and pop or local, and also it depended on those shops as well, what they're bringing in and what they think people want to listen to, and get that Beastie Boys out of here or whatever. And you're like, right. You know what? I don't know what you're talking about, Grandpa. But yeah, I mean, it was just a different time, and I don't know. I'm saddened by it. There's a lot of great things with it being at our fingertips, but on the other hand, it's an experience, and there's things that call to you sometimes when you're in that moment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't have the record store thing. We don't have, still here and there, but you're not, obviously post COVID, they're not handing around fucking cans to listen to stuff.
Yeah,
but something that, Discover Weekly and stuff like that. I think
Discover Weekly is a game changer.
I do think that like Jimmy said is a lot of music nowadays, especially if it's consumed in such a way like a playlist or whatever it is. It's not it's background. It's not
you're not getting fans for life always this way.
Right. Yeah,
it's harder to get people to invest their time.
Right. It has to be something that really makes you stop what you're doing and go, okay, I'm going to pull up my phone or my web browser or whatever. And, okay, that's what that band is. Cool. I'm going to go deep dive into that. But still to this day, and this kind of brings us back around to the original thing, go see your fucking opening bands.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got to go see the opening bands because it can change
your future.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
it can't. Well, opening bands, but also like just local original bands and touring original bands. You know, like go to as many small shows as you can because there's gonna be, like I said before, Farewell Fire, man. We played with them, and I was like, I am now a fan of this band for life, and I'll follow them.
Right.
And those things can happen. Someone doesn't have to be on the brink of fame or famous.
No,
for them,
a good band's a good band.
For them to change your life with a song.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and also like go see the opening bands because they're on that tour or that show, even if it's one-off, whatever, for a reason. Like they were selected. Those other bands are fans of them usually, and so they're looking at it too from a business point, being like, come see these guys. They don't suck.
Right. Yeah.
And also touring is fucking hard. So you gotta,
Fact.
I'm sure. I hope you guys don't like run into the issues that like Architects is running into and all these other bands with like the I saw that I forgot Movements.
Yeah.
Yep.
Movements. They put out the receipt from the venue.
I think it's harder to come here now than it is to go.
No, it was overseas in Italy.
Both ways the same?
In Italy, Movements showed the receipt from the thing. It was the venue took 47% of their merch cut.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
Wow.
Which then on top of that, they're not making much anyways because the label's making
That's the only way they're making money is the merch.
Right. Yeah, it's really sad. I'm not looking forward to what may happen to us, obviously, over there, and not even knowing. I've known about it over here, and they just keep slowly increasing it and taking more and more. And whether it's merch or they're charging for every little thing nowadays, whether it's towels and just, I mean, and I get it too, because the venues, they suffered for years and they're trying to recoup that. And there's no other way to start charging for the little things. Right. But you also have like the Live Nations and Ticketmasters really digging into people's pockets, and the artists just suffer at the end of the day. And that's all we want, is the artists to be around. And it's really tough.
That's why, you know what? We gotta do VFW hall shows, man.
And that's why you get a fan.
Bring it back.
Or you bring someone in your band and have them bootleg your merch outside the venue.
I would definitely.
Well, I heard.
Still got to hustle.
A different strategy.
They got to hustle, but you give them 20%, and then you actually making the rest. So.
A different strategy is, from what I've heard, bands were doing pre-orders.
Yep.
And because you're not selling it on property, and you just use it as a pickup point.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of bands starting to roll in potentially when they buy a ticket. It includes a piece of merch or multiple pieces of merch.
Okay.
That's smart.
But I don't know. I mean, every band's just trying to figure it out. It's hard enough as it is.
That's got to be tough to work in, with whatever contract you have with the venue or whatever play. You know what I mean? Like to work. That's got to be a difficult.
Well, each venue's different as well. They take different cuts, and different countries do different things, and it's just like, how do you budget for that? That's what we're running into right now. And it's constantly changing. So yesterday's price is not tomorrow's price.
Right.
And these tours are booked out so far in advance that you're going off budget A, and then you're on the road with budget C.
Right.
Like, we're just
Right.
burning money right now.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Now, did you guys pick? Do you have any like set openers for your
For our run in
Run?
Europe?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we actually picked the 2 bands that we're going to do the full tour with. We had, I think, an option of maybe 5 or 6 bands that were available or whatever. And yes, we picked Elwood Stray, and they're from overseas. And then another band called, I think it's called Athena. So it's Atena. Atena. And they both are very, very sick. They're awesome. And I think it'll be a really good fit for us. And then each show, I believe, will have a local opener or 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, come out and see the openers.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, and so each of those bands has had experience touring overseas. I believe Elwood Stray is doing some shows with like Landmarks, which is pretty wicked.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, so I think it's just a good overall fit and a good bill. And I'm just excited to see. I'm actually a big fan. I've been listening to each band more and more the last probably week or so. So I'm like, oh man, I hope they play this one live. Like I've already nerded out and
That's awesome.
like
Dude,
all
that's
about.
the best.
That's
I'm like
so
already
cool.
their biggest fan. They don't even know it.
Right? See,
That's awesome.
by the end of the tour, you'll be going out and singing a song with them, and they'll be
I
coming
hope
out and
so.
singing a song with you. You know, like that's.
I hope so.
I always found that to be the coolest thing. Like that
Right.
was one of the things that I always loved so much about the live experience. I mean, when I first started going to shows, I still remember going to a few shows where there would be like a all band jam at the end of the night.
Oh yeah.
And that
Yeah.
happened a few times, and I always
Super
thought that
group.
was like the cool
Before
thing.
super groups were the group.
Yeah, right. You
Yeah.
get members of all the bands come out, and they'd play some songs from bands that they,
Yeah.
whatever it
Used
was.
to be in.
Yeah, and so it was that was always a cool thing. But seeing a singer come out and join another band on stage was always something I looked forward to. 'Cause I was like,
Yeah. Just recently, I saw Sam from Architects go out with Bad Omens. I think he jumped on for a little
Nice.
spot, and it's like those are 2 legends right there.
yeah,
Oh man, I love Bad Omens. I cannot wait. We're going to be covering Bamboozle in Jersey. And
No way.
Bad Omens is going to be there,
Yeah.
and I'm stoked. So
Yes.
stoked.
Yeah, they're changing the game right now, and they produced all their stuff, which is
Right.
really, really cool.
hopefully we can make them eat something that makes them throw up.
Man, yeah. After the set, we did So What last year, and we made the bass player Felicity throw up
Yeah,
from hot sauce.
yeah.
Just have anyone but the singer, because then
Right.
No,
yeah.
we had the singer too, but he held on to his own.
Yeah, he was you know
He was good.
yeah,
he was a champion.
We did.
Bass
oh,
player
wait.
was a challenger.
We did have a singer. We did a tasting before Rivals.
Yeah.
Their opener, Josh Lambert.
Josh Lambert.
We had him try. What did we have him try?
We didn't have him try. He came in. He was
Oh,
like,
right.
I'll
No.
do it.
try.
And it was a what was it? It was the
The 2.2 million Scoville unit
cheese ball.
Cheese ball.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah. And we were like, you don't have to. You're gonna sing. You
And
don't
he did
have
it. He
to
was
do
like,
it.
"Yo,
And
man,
he's
I'll do it."
"No,
I was
do
like, "All right, you cocky
Wow.
little shit. Come on in."
wow! I would
then-
be destroyed.
yeah." He
I like spice and everything, but if you're about to sing or whatever, no.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't do it before.
no.
I sang.
Kaylee did not do it, but the other guys did.
She ate pickled cotton candy though.
No, she did do that. She
Yeah.
did do that. It was
Oh,
and
how was that?
Terrible.
bad, really bad.
This is fucking awful.
Yeah, we had like the Wheel of Doom.
There was nothing good about it at all.
Speaking of vomit,
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had this like Wheel of Doom where you could have it was like chicken nugget paste,
Cheeseburger paste.
cheeseburger paste, French fry paste,
Yeah.
bacon cotton candy,
Bacon cotton candy,
pickled cotton candy, and then the cheese ball.
Yeah.
It
oh
was,
wow!
So when you guys come,
right?
Yeah.
yeah, man. So
man.
when you guys come out on the road, we're here.
Yeah.
We
We'll
can
come
have
out,
some,
we'll have
some
lots of
tastings.
fun.
Volunteer Jeff can do it.
So,
He'll eat
all right.
anything.
Well, everybody, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah,
Kate,
it's been
thanks for
awesome.
popping
Thanks
in.
for
man.
popping in,
Like,
man.
it was
Thank
totally
you.
cool.
Appreciate it.
go check out Cover Your Tracks. It's a fucking
Yes.
banger.
Yeah.
It's a banger.
It's fucking awesome.
Throw the
Kate,
fight, throw the fight.
tell everybody where to find everything. Throw the fight. And,
All right.
and you.
Yeah, absolutely. So throwthefight.com, you can see all of our tour dates, all of our music, Spotify. We're on every platform you possibly can be on. And you can follow me at Kade Katz and also at Kade Katz Music. I've got a solo project that I put out stuff from time to time. And yeah, Throw the Fight. I appreciate you guys reaching out. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah,
no,
man, totally.
Thank you. Jimsy, where do they find you?
Jimmy G's Shoes on all the socials. You can find my band Craving Strange at cravingstrange.net, where you can find all of our music. We're putting new stuff out all the time, so keep checking it out because there's always new stuff. You can find our stuff, baconismypodcast.com, where you can check out episodes of the show. You can also find our band, Bacon Is My Passion. We're on Twitch every Thursday now. We are live writing and recording this EP that we're doing, and you guys can check it out and be a part of it. We just had one where we brought on a producer, and he tore apart our songs, and it was great.
Yes.
We had a good time.
Lots of notes to go
It's
over.
all live, so we're hearing it at the same time that you are.
Wow.
So
That's ballsy.
it's a different thing. It's a different thing. So yeah, baconismypodcast.com to check out all that stuff. Mike, where they can find you real quick?
Notes.
Yeah.
Lots of notes. Me personally, at me, my own self, Mike. My band is at Something Heavy Music on all the socials. Something Heavy on the Spotify's and whatnot. And we got some new music coming out all the time. So
Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for having a discussion and drinks with Bacon Is My Podcast. You guys are rad. Check us out on Patreon if you want to pay us for stuff or buy a t-shirt. They say bacon on them, and it's awesome. But remember to ask yourself every day the most important question that you can ask yourself every day. What is that thing in your life that makes it a little bit better? What is that thing in your life that adds to it? What is that thing that could be a side, a topping, or a main course? What is it that makes your life better? What is the question?
Kate, do you remember?
Yeah, I had it this morning.
What's your bacon?
What's your bacon?
Thanks, everybody.
All right, cool, man.
Hell yeah. Thank you guys.